The old coat with new hope. The coat had more years than warmth left in it, its fabric thinned by time and patched by necessity, but on that winter morning it carried the weight of an entire life. As the cold wind sliced through the empty street, the man pulled the coat tighter around his shoulders, not to protect himself from the weather alone, but to shield the quiet fear that had settled deep in his chest. He had lost many things in life, his job, his home, his sense of belonging, but somehow this old coat remained, like a fragile thread tying him to who he once was, and who he still hoped to become. Before the story goes further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of hope, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them most. The man walked slowly, each step measured, as if rushing might cause the world to collapse around him. The city looked different at dawn, stripped of noise and pride, revealing its cracks and forgotten corners. Storefronts were closed, their glass reflecting his tired face, and with every reflection he saw a version of himself he barely recognized. Once he had been someone people relied on, someone with plans and certainty. Now, his days were shaped by survival and memory. The coat had been his companion through it all. He remembered buying it years ago when life was stable, when winter meant comfort rather than threat. Back then, it was new, heavy, and warm. Now it was worn, faded, and imperfect, much like him. The challenges had not arrived all at once. Life unraveled slowly, the way fabric frays at the edges before tearing apart. First came the factory closure, followed by months of unanswered applications. Savings vanished faster than hope, and pride made asking for help feel impossible. Friends drifted away, not out of cruelty, but out of discomfort, unsure how to face someone whose life mirrored their own worst fears. Eventually, the small rented room was gone too, replaced by nights spent wherever the city allowed him to rest unnoticed. Through every loss, the coat stayed with him. It was more than clothing. It was memory stitched into cloth, a reminder that he had once been warm, safe, and valued. Winter was unforgiving that year. The cold seemed personal, settling into his bones and refusing to leave. Each night felt longer than the last, and each morning arrived with a quiet question of whether he had the strength to keep going. Yet something inside him resisted surrender. It wasn't loud or dramatic. It was a stubborn, almost foolish hope that whispered he was still here for a reason. He noticed small things others ignored, the way sunlight softened the gray buildings, the kindness in a stranger's brief nod, the smell of bread drifting from a bakery he passed every day. These moments didn't change his situation, but they reminded him the world still held warmth somewhere. One afternoon, as clouds thickened and the air grew heavier with the promise of snow, he stood outside a community center, unsure why he had stopped there. Perhaps it was the laughter drifting out through the doors, or perhaps it was exhaustion finally outweighing pride. Inside, people moved with purpose, carrying boxes, sorting clothes, and offering smiles that felt genuine rather than pitying. He didn't step in right away. He stood there, fingers clenched around the edges of his coat, wrestling with the fear of being seen. The coat, once a symbol of dignity, now felt like a sign of everything he had lost. When he finally gathered the courage to enter, the warmth inside was almost overwhelming. Not just the heat, but the human presence, the sense that life was happening there. He didn't ask for much, only a moment to rest, a cup of something warm. What he received was more than that. People looked at him as if he mattered, as if his presence was not a burden. Someone noticed the coat and gently offered a newer one, thicker and better suited for the cold. The gesture was kind, practical, and sincere, yet he hesitated, his hand hovering between the old and the new. The coat had carried him through his darkest nights. Letting go of it felt like letting go of the part of himself that had survived. But as he stood there, he realized something quietly powerful. The coat had done its job. It had protected him when he needed it most, but it was never meant to be his future. Accepting a new coat didn't erase his past, it honored it. With a deep breath, he allowed himself to accept the gift. The weight of the new coat felt unfamiliar, almost too heavy with possibility. From that day on, small changes began to ripple through his life. The community center became a place of return, not just for warmth, but for purpose. He volunteered when he could, helping others who stood where he once had, frozen by fear and pride. Each act of service stitched something back together inside him. He began to believe that maybe he was not invisible, that his story was not over. The new coat kept him warm, but it was the sense of belonging that truly changed him. As weeks passed, opportunities appeared in unexpected ways. A temporary job led to steady work. A shared meal led to friendship. Slowly, carefully, he started rebuilding. He kept the old coat folded neatly in his small room, no longer worn but never discarded. It reminded him of how far he had come and how fragile hope could be if not protected. The coat was no longer a shield against the cold, but a symbol of survival, resilience, and the quiet strength it took to keep going. Near the end of winter, he walked the same streets that once felt so empty, now seeing them with new eyes. The city hadn't changed, but he had. He understood that hope didn't arrive as a sudden miracle. It arrived through people, through moments of kindness, through the courage to accept help when pride said no. The old coat had carried him to the edge, but new hope carried him forward. If this story has touched your heart, if it reminded you of the power of compassion and second chances, please take a moment now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement helps spread these stories of humanity and healing. Before the ending, we have a special request for you. Please comment below and tell us what the old coat symbolizes to you, or share a moment when kindness changed your life. Your words might inspire someone who is silently struggling today. As the final snow melted and spring hinted at its arrival, the man looked ahead, no longer defined by what he had lost, but by what he had found within himself. The old coat rested quietly, its work done, while new hope wrapped around him with every step forward. And in that simple human journey, he learned that sometimes the most worn things carry us until we are strong enough to walk into something new.